Ladies and gentlemen, it is now 6:46 p.m. and a quorum of members is present, so the meeting of the Board of Education of the School District of New Berlin is called to order. Please call the roll.
Ms. Crosby. Mr. Helmer.
Here.
Ms. Connick. Mr. Kurth.
Here.
Ms. Schulz.
Here.
Mr. Seidel.
Here.
Ms. Wondercheck.
Ms. Wondercheck is not able to be here this evening. I would entertain a motion to recess to closed session.
Madam President, I move to recess into closed session pursuant to let me start that again.
Okay.
Had a Mountain Dew today, not quite right. Madam President, I move to recess into closed session pursuant to section 19.85, 1C, E, and F of the Wisconsin statutes. Consider A, the approval of closed session minutes of May 9th, B, employment services report, and that's it.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Kurth and a second by Mr. Helmer. Call the roll.
Mr. Kurth.
Apparently here.
Yes.
Mr. Helmer.
Yes.
Ms. Crosby. Ms. Connick.
Yes.
Ms. Schulz.
Yes.
Mr. Seidel.
Yes.
We are moving into closed session. We'll return to open session around 7 o'clock. It is now 7:02, and we are returning from closed session into open session. In recognition of the serious and important nature of our efforts here, we will join in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. For all those who are able, please rise. And now for those who wish to prepare for the meeting, we will have a moment of silence. This is a public meeting in the Board of Education. Prior to this meeting, notice was given to the public last Friday by providing the agenda to the City Library. The agenda was also posted on the district website. A copy of the agenda was forwarded to the Journal-Sentinel, the Waukesha Freeman, and the Waukesha Now, all of which have filed requests for all public notices. First up, we have recognitions. We have the Herb Cole Teacher Fellowship recipients.
I'd like to have our Director of Student Services, Amanda Mazurkowitz, come up, please, and help us join. Actually, I'd like to have Jamie help us, too, with Amanda, introduce and recognize our recipients.
Okay, I am honored to recognize Miss Jackie Thiering this evening. This is Miss Thiering's 10th year in the school district of New Berlin. She is an incredible educator who continually goes above and beyond for our students and community. From inspiring our young musicians, as you can see this evening, to planning concerts down to every detail and playing a birthday song for every staff member on their birthdays, she is a huge part of what makes Elmwood special. We were proud to nominate her for the Herb Cole Award for Outstanding Excellence at Elmwood and across the district, and we are thrilled to congratulate her for winning this amazing award. Thank you, Ms. Thiering.
Hi, Board. I'm Amanda Mazurkowitz. I'm your Director of Student Services, and I am very excited because we actually had 3 winners in the Student Services Special Education Department from our district, which is not very common in terms of a district getting that many recognitions in a department like Special Education and Student Services. So who we have here tonight representing from 3 of our winners is Mr. Detmer. So I'm going to talk about him first, but just because the other 2 women couldn't join us doesn't mean I'm not also going to talk about them. But Mr. Detmer has been a special education teacher in our district for over a decade. He has worked at Orchard Lane, he's worked at Ronald Reagan, and he currently is at New Berlin West and has been for many years at West. And while at West, he also has coached both wrestling and football. So one of the things I think is just so incredible about Pat is you ask any teacher, any administrator, any parent who's been lucky enough to have their child work with Pat, he's arguably one of the best special education teachers that I've ever known. He's a strong leader, he's kind, he's respectful, he truly understands what special education is, and I don't know that everybody can say that. He truly understands what specially designed instruction is and why it's necessary for the kids that he serves in order to help them increase their reading, their math, their social skills, their behavior skills, and he's just an incredible human. He's a dad to 3 young kids. He's a wonderful person, and I'm really lucky to get to work with him. So congratulations, Pat. Doesn't really matter which one I do next, but I'm going to talk about both of them. So Maggie Lanoy is an occupational therapist, and for those of you who don't know what that is, I'm going to tell you, because unless you have had occupational therapy yourself or have a child who has received it, you might not know. But an occupational therapist's job is to help somebody be able to perform their occupation, whatever that occupation is. And for our students, that occupation is being a student and being able to safely navigate and successfully navigate their school in order for them to be able to participate in their academic career and to be able to even engage socially with students. And so Miss Lanoy came to us from another state during a very tricky time for all of us as we were navigating the pandemic, and this is her second school year with us. She also, like Mr. Detmer, is just an incredible human. She works across our district in all of our buildings, and what she does is she helps students with sensory integration, she helps them with behavior management, she helps them with fine motor skills, again, in order for them to be able to be students and learn in the classroom with their peers as much as possible. Maggie has also done work for the Peace Corps, which is pretty incredible, and we're very, very, very lucky to have her. Any administrator or any team member that has her on a team knows exactly what I'm talking about when she just has a way about her, and when you meet her, if you've never met her before, you get that from her. She's got a calm sense. She's very knowledgeable. She's very bright. One of the smartest women I know. So I'm really lucky that not only was she able to be nominated by our school district, but she also won, which is incredible. So even though she's not here, please join me in congratulating Maggie. And the last incredible teacher I'm going to talk about, but certainly not the least, is Miss Vega. And Miss Vega works on the opposite end of a child's career as they're leaving us and preparing to leave us for post-secondary. So she is a specialist in all things transition, which means that she is very expert and skilled at providing students with opportunities for employment, vocational rehabilitation skills, all of the reading and math skills that come along with trying to make students successful post-secondary so that they can be gainfully employed or be able to access further education when they leave us. Miss Vega is a devoted grandmother and a devoted mother. She also, in her time outside of the district, works with adults with disabilities, helping with job coaching. She's very entrenched in our community, and she's been a wonderful person in helping develop jobs and collaborate with local business partners in order to have them feel comfortable and confident that our students with disabilities can provide meaningful services and can be gainfully employed in our community. So Ms. Vega has taught both at Eisenhower and West, and she's also now heading up our transition program for the district. So please join me in congratulating Ms. Vega as well. Thank you for your support in our special education program. I appreciate it.
Thank you, and congratulations to all those teachers. We have privilege of the floor, but I don't believe we have anybody this evening. Okay, so we don't have anyone this evening for privilege of the floor. Next is the president's message, and I do have a few things. So first of all, to the Elmwood staff, thank you for welcoming us here this evening. We look forward to the tour that we have coming up. I keep forgetting to mention to board members, you probably have seen these on the table here. There's some information about Robert's rules and motions and what requires a second and who can debate and things like that. So these are just quick informational pieces for us, and it's sort of like a preliminary coming up to when we're going to have our attorney be with us at our next meeting and do some training. And so this is just a quick reference guide for us as we're doing our meetings. Also, I wanted to address some things that have come up with Esser Funds. So since the awarding of the Esser Funds, all of us board members have received some emails with some really good, legitimate comments and questions about the funds. In some cases, we've received suggestions for how they would like to see the money used. And one email in particular was sent to both myself and a member of the board prior to last week's meeting that suggested the spend that had already been allocated for the ELE curriculum that is now going to be reimbursed by Esser Funds could have been redirected to pay down debt. Well, it's a great suggestion, and that person probably is not the only one who thought of that, but we know that it's not possible to pay off debt until the call date, which happens to be, the next one is in 2027. So the Esser Funds are a significant amount of federal taxpayer money. So it is tax money, yet it's just coming from a different bucket. It's not local, but we want to ensure transparency and to be clear so that there's not any misunderstandings in the community as to what can be done and what is being done with the money. I asked Mr. Garza and Mr. Miller to incorporate explanations in any of their updates and presentations as we talk about this money and as we're planning ahead for the budget and as concerning the debt and the levy and also the mill rate. So as well, I've been asking clarifying questions in response to the emails so that this important information is not shared just with select few through emails. So that's going back to that question that I had about the debt as to whether or not we could redirect it to pay down. And so that was a question that I had last week. So while I already knew the answer to it, I did ask the question on behalf of that person who was emailing so that everybody could have that answer. I encourage my fellow board members as well to ask your questions during meetings, regardless of whether or not you know the answer yourself already, so that all people in our community can have the same level of information that we have as members of this board. Now we have the administrative team report and the Elmwood School update and building tour.
Yeah, I would actually like to continue on the conversation related to Esser dollars.
Sure.
I know that Crislin Wondercheck at the last meeting had asked why Elmbrook may have received more money here or there than we did as it related to Esser dollars. I did share with her at the time that I'd have to do my homework and come back and give you that response. What I can tell you is that we actually, as the school district of New Berlin, received more formula grant dollars, which means that Elmbrook would receive more additional funding to $578. But we get $54 more in the formula grant. They get $54 more dollars in additional funding. They received, and that's per student. They received slightly more in-person instruction hours because they had more calculated hours, mainly due to enrollment. As you know, Elmbrook has more students than we do. And so that's based on the formula that they would in fact get more to reimburse that. Just like, for example, MPS is almost getting $1 billion, of which we are not. Every district is different. And there are different adjustments within that formula that would definitely make a big difference in that calculation. Or a nuance that would make it different as to why they're getting more than we would. We received less than some school districts, but we also received more than some other school districts based on all those variables that were mentioned. I also do want to mention that I did get an email today from a community member asking about us getting feedback as far as how we're going to be spending Esser dollars. As the board recalls, at the budget hearing and annual meeting, we specifically had a slide there where we actually asked the community members for feedback. In fact, while we were at the meeting, nobody had any real feedback related to Esser dollars. And while, Janet, you mentioned that, yes, in fact, we get emails here or there, we've actually had a feedback link open since then that has been on our website since then, asking for that feedback. Quite honestly, the feedback has been minimal. We have, though, also shared with DPI how we actually went about seeking guidance from or feedback from stakeholders, and we let them know that we made an announcement at a meeting. We actually had a feedback link, and then we also posted it to our website, and that we were giving updates related to Esser dollars throughout, which we have been. In fact, we've been talking a lot about Esser. I'm glad that we moved on from Esser as opposed to the other thing we were talking about the last couple of years. But nonetheless, this is the guidance, so it's, the email did say LEAs must provide opportunities for stakeholders to meaningfully and substantively contribute to their Esser 3 plan. Consultation must occur prior to submitting a plan in WISE grants. This is the guidance from DPI regarding stakeholder engagement. The engagement was required. However, the method of engagement was not prescriptive. DPI did offer an example, but that was provided as a LEAs may use, not as LEAs must use. And as we all know, DPI has a lot of suggestions that we may or may not take into consideration as far as how we implement it here. Ultimately, it's up to the school board based on local control. The School District of New Berlin has chosen to incorporate the discussion of Esser plans within board meeting presentations. There are no prescriptive requirements from DPI for the depth or breadth of the plan discussion. Comments submitted to the district or clarifications requests from the board would guide the expansion or direction of future presentations, which again, we've seen feedback, we've gotten feedback, we've shared numerous times with the school board what strings may or may not be attached. I think I've said that probably about 10 times now, that there aren't that we are aware of, as well as, the ELA curricular resources that were approved, that we could use those dollars to get those reimbursed if the board so chose. And as Janet just mentioned, those are the things that we will be bringing forth to the school board in the preliminary budget and the original budget, which will be approved in September and later in October, actually. So to date, again, we've received some detailed questions, comments, concerns, but none specifically about that. The district continues to update the board on our progress. And then I do want to just clarify that the plan that we submitted to DPI was approved, and the initial funds and the additional EBIS funds were allocated to the school district already in the federal grants portal. My guess is if they had a problem with how we were handling it, they wouldn't have done that. And the DPI is in the process of entering the additional funds allocated for in-person instruction at this time.
Can I ask a quick clarifying question?
Sure.
We spent a bunch of money early on cleaning supplies, extra staff to help contact trace and all that. That's all part of reimbursable funds as part of this, correct? So we've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars before any of this. So there was money that was taken out of our budget last year that we've already spent that will be now getting into this budget. Is that correct?
Correct. And I'll have Patrick actually specify which Esser, because there was, Esser 1, 2, and 3. And so, Patrick, could you clarify those again, please?
Sure, thank you. Esser 1, which I guess there really is no Esser 1, but it was the initial CARES money that came in. That was spent in early 2021, and that was essentially all on PPE. That was the one that we had to share with the local parochials. Then Esser 2, and those are dollars that we still, it will cover those types of expenses that you talked about, Mr. Helmer, going all the way back to March of 2020, and we have to claim it by September of 2023. And then we have Esser 3, which is essentially eligible for the same types of expenses as Esser 2, with the exception of there is about $1.6 million that has to be tied to evidence-based improvement strategies. For example, like some of the improvement strategies that we are implementing through some of our curriculum adoptions. Those dollars are intended to reimburse the district for some of the choices that they made and how they're addressing the needs in the district.
What we will do, again, as was directed by Janet to us, is that we will highlight these dollars specifically in the upcoming budgets. Ron, I don't know if you want to have separate meetings with the Finance Committee or not to go over that, but again, we do plan on having that highlighted as we roll out the upcoming budget. So again, we are, may districts be doing it differently than we are, sure, but we're moving forward as we need to, and certainly on top of the suggestions that DPI may have as it relates to these dollars. Thank you.
Thanks. So did we switch your superintendent's update to be first then? Is that it? Or do you still have something for us later?
That was it. So I guess I jumped.
That was a lot, but it made sense to move it.
Oh.
So. All right. So are we going to do the secondary student representative update, or should we do our tour next?
I think we'll head to the tour since
Okay.
we already took
All
so
right.
much time.
Great. Thank you.
I appreciate that. Well, good evening. I am Jamie Veal, the very proud principal here at Elmwood Elementary, and I am joined by our amazing associate principal, Mr. Sams, tonight. And we are absolutely thrilled to have you here at Elmwood tonight, and we thank you so much for your support of Elmwood and our school district. We have some celebrations to share with you this evening through an incredible year that we've had here at Elmwood, so we're thrilled to share some things. This year, we had an anchor text that was centered around one of our beliefs: we are a team. Each of our staff members received Simon Sinek's book, Together is Better. Filled with inspiring quotes, this fable tells the story of 3 kids that go on a journey to a new playground and take a stand for what they believe. The message in this story highlights how relationships, real human relationships, really matter. The stronger our relationships, the stronger the bonds of trust and cooperation, the more we can accomplish, and the more joy and fulfillment we get from our work and personal lives. As Simon Sinek says, working hard for something we don't care about is called stress, but working hard for something that we love is called passion. This exemplifies our staff at Elmwood. This book was meant to give as a thank you and inspiration, and we want to thank all of you for what you do for the school district of New Berlin. We want to gift you this book that has inspired us this year. We hope you'll enjoy it. During our first few days of school, our staff received t-shirts that highlighted our belief we are a team. We did team building activities centered around our 5 beliefs for the year. We are very proud of our achievement this year. These are our 2 big goals, and we wanted a robust, rigorous goal to direct the work that we're doing and focus on growth. By focusing our goals on growth this year, we were able to support our students in maintaining their high achievement and moving our students below CCR towards the mark. You will see this data in the upcoming slides. More than ever, social emotional learning is also important to the growth and development of our students, and so we continue to focus on SEL because it truly promotes the whole child.
So this is the opportunity that I get to nerd out in front of all of you and talk about our data. And so I apologize ahead of time if I use not layman terms, but I'll work at that. So FastBridge is our new assessment tool, our universal screener this year. And so we've broken our data down into 2 different components, percentage and percentile ranks. In the percentage category, we're looking at students at no risk or low risk, which means they are performing at or above the 30th percentile according to FastBridge. We're also looking at students that are performing at benchmark. So benchmark, which FastBridge identifies as the 40th percentile and above. And according to FastBridge, when our students are at the 40th percentile or above, they are likely proficient in grade level standards. So what's really exciting is that these are actually our winter scores. We just finished testing last week Friday, and our scores are actually tracking to be even better than these, which is really exciting because we're on our way to meet our big goals. So students at no risk or low risk when it comes to literacy are at 89% of our student body, and the percentage of Elmwood students meeting or exceeding benchmark, so that 40th percentile, is at 78%. Again, those are low compared to what our scores are coming out here from last week. In terms of our percentile ranks, those help us gauge our performance against national norms. This is a universal screener that's used across the nation, and so we get to compare ourselves not just here, in the state, not here just in the district, but across the nation. So FastBridge identifies the 70th percentile as college and career ready. And so as a metric in our middle and high schools, we want to ensure our students are on track to be college and career ready. So when they get to Ike or West, they are prepared for that education as well. And so as our other slides started, and I won't go too much into this, but rate of improvement was incredibly important to us because as a high-performing school, we want to make sure that our students are keeping pace. And so that rate of improvement at being at the 50th percentile means that our students are keeping pace nationally. And so we wanted to be at the 50th percentile, and what's really, really exciting is that it was the 50th percentile in the fall, and it's now tracking at the 55th percentile. For math, really exciting about this. I won't go back through all of those nuances again, but our students that are at no risk or low risk is at 90% in math, and then our percentage of our students meeting benchmark, again, that 40th percentile is 81%. Our average percentile ranks of our students is at the 71st percentile, so our average student here at Elmwood is college and career ready when it comes to math. And then our growth rate, which is actually even higher than this, we're actually looking in the low 60s, was at the 58th percentile here in the winter. So what drives our work here at Elmwood is these 4 core beliefs. And so for the past few years, Elmwood, our work has been centered around these 5 core beliefs that align with our district's strategic goal. We'd like to highlight some of these achievements and celebrations at Elmwood's through these beliefs, and we're proud to have these narrated by some of our 6th grade Lion Cubs in the upcoming slides and videos.
So our first belief is all kids can learn. We believe in our students every day. We continue to focus on our school-wide literacy goal through literacy-based activities, home and school connections, student leader partnerships, and our club time groups. Here you will see our parents coordinating our very successful book fair and a 6th grader partnering with a kindergarten student. This happens several times throughout the year. In the next video, you will continue to see how all kids can learn is exemplified at Elmwood.
Our second annual Reading Comes Alive Week was held this spring, and this time around we shared a jungle theme with our book fair. Students enjoyed special guest read-alouds, Spirit Week dress-up days, and took part in various reading activities. Our professional learning communities are the heart of our school community. Our teaching staff collectively commit to moving our school goals forward in order to help all our students improve and learn. You will see our teachers meeting within their staff leadership teams to create action-forward goals, discuss innovative practices, and use deep reflection to improve instructional practices. This year, we had extensive PLC professional learning with our partnering elementary schools to continue enhancing our data, discussions, and assessments. Come Time provides teachers and students the opportunity to meet individually or in small groups for enrichment, practice, focused teaching sessions, and interventions. A variety of supports are made available so that every Elmwood student can thrive. At Elmwood, all kids can learn. Jackie Thering, our elementary orchestra teacher, was chosen as a Herb Cole Educational Foundation Award winner. Ms. Thering has been recognized for her ability to inspire a love of learning in our students. In addition to teaching, Ms. Thering is the concertmaster of the Concord Chamber Orchestra, and recently her writing was tweeted by publishing giant McGraw-Hill.
Okay, our next belief is learning is the work. Our design thinking and makerspace has been in full swing this year as we lead in innovative practices. This also aligns with the district goal of empowering our learners through universal design for learning. Please enjoy this video highlighting these practices.
This year, our makerspace is a bustling place. At any given time, you can find students applying the principles of science, technology, engineering, art, and math through hands-on experimentation. If you visit our makerspace, you will find students using math skills to create Marble Run roller coasters, reverse engineering to find out what makes things tick, as well as coding with robots. This unique learning space creates a bridge between what we learn in the classroom to real-world problem-solving and invention. The Makerspace also played host to our math fair. 5th grade math students created fun carnival games from scratch, applying what they have studied in the classroom. Other grades were invited to attend. Pictured is a kindergarten class enjoying the games and prizes. At Elmwood, we are encouraged to learn by doing. Playtime can be just as important as lesson time, so students can explore their interests and make their own creative choices. Here, we have 2 kindergarten friends who, without direction, decided to create their own show, complete with a self-designed backdrop, props, characters, and song. Look at how proud they are.
Our third belief is every child is my child. Our staff and students exemplify this in all that we do. We are proud of our junior coaching programming. You can see in this picture some of our 6th grade students leading a junior coach meeting in which they creatively come up with new ways to teach games and skills to our youngest students at Elmwood. They are so proud of their leadership positions. You will hear from one of our junior coaches on our tour later this evening. Here are our Lion Cubs and staff showing how every child is my child.
Co-serving is an important component of the collaboration between our general education teachers and special education teachers. Here you see one of our SPED teachers teaching a writing lesson with all of our kindergartners that the Gen Ed teacher supports. PE teacher Melanie Gearhart was one of the 2 teachers in the district to receive a grant from the Education Foundation of New Berlin for the first T-School program. This program aims to create a safe introduction to golf while helping students strengthen their character and confidence. Our annual Health Moves Minds event teaches students how to take care of their mind and body while also being kind to others. As part of the program, students participate in a large obstacle course all week and their families are invited to join them. The Playworks Junior Coach program builds self-esteem and teaches responsibility to a select group of 5th and 6th grade student leaders. Our junior coaches take charge of equipment and lead recess games while modeling conflict resolution on and off the playground. Working as our team, both junior coaches and our adult recess staff work towards the same goal, to create a safe place for every kid on the playground to feel included. Elmwood is home to a diverse group of students and families. We joined the school district in expanding the ways we celebrate diversity by spotlighting specific history and heritage months throughout the years, such as Black History Month and Women's History Month.
Here we see our Elmwood student leadership team providing a breakfast cart for our staff to show appreciation. We continue to teach important social emotional skills to our students through Second Step, our Applause incentives, and Citizen of the Month. Mrs. Mariani, our school psychologist, and Miss Claire, our district social worker, created a lunch bunch this year that invited students that experience anxiety to come together to learn strategies to help manage and know that they're not alone. It was highly attended by our 5th and 6th grade students. Please watch for more ways we put relationships before results at the forefront of what we do here at Elmwood.
We celebrated World Kindness Day through a school-wide Kindness Week. Students were encouraged to promote kindness through various activities, both at school, at home, and within our community. To continue this theme, our home and school held a Raise Craze fundraiser. Instead of selling items, students had to commit at least 5 acts of kindness and then asked friends and family to sponsor them through the Raise Craze online platform. Students learned the importance of kindness and gratitude while raising much-needed funds. In an effort to motivate our students towards good citizenship throughout the school year, we recognized a Citizen of the Month for each classroom. Students are spotlighted in our parent newsletter and morning announcements and receive a certificate and appreciation prize. We have a culture of care at Elmwood that is strengthened by staff and student connections that are made year-round. These connections build trust, which frees students' minds to learn and grow socially and academically. During our annual home and school raffle, teachers and staff raffle off fun one-on-one or small group activities, like making slime with Mrs. Berkey and Mrs. Cook, or puzzles and popcorn with Mrs. Payne. Our students across all grade levels find lots of ways to connect with each other. Both older and younger students benefit from these relationships. An example of these student-to-student connections are our 6th grade and kindergarten reading partners, as well as our orchestra students performing for classrooms. Our third quarter incentive to play music in the lunchroom was a spectacular success that brought students together through the power of song.
So our last belief is we are a team. This manifests in the ways we give back to our community, such as the ESLT food drive, toy drive, and shoe drive. We also organized our first ever all-school read and read the incredible story, A Boy Called Bat. Lastly, Elmwood has historically incorporated an artist in residence. This year, with a generous donation from the late Julie Ebar, we were able to bring a local artist who was working on a piece to celebrate the work and life of Julie. Lastly, this story was covered in the Waukesha Freeman last month and made the front page.
The Elmwood Student Leadership Team, or ESLT, connects with our local community through service projects throughout the year, like their annual toy drive and food drive over the holidays. Through their leadership, the entire school experiences both the privilege and responsibility of giving back to others.
For the first time this year, our wonderful home and school organization sponsored a family skating night at the Pettit National Ice Center. Through their efforts, 95 Elmwood families were able to enjoy this world-class facility together as a community.
This year we launched our first annual all-school read. Students, staff, and families joined together as a community to read a common book together. Our generous Home and School Association made sure every child brought home their own copy of A Boy Called Bat. With special guest read-alouds, weekly trivia contests, and prizes, our entire Elmwood family enjoyed a funny and heartfelt story of an unforgettable boy.
Elmwood has a strong tradition for hosting an artist in residence to work with students to create a permanent art piece for our school. Melissa Dorn is a Milwaukee-based artist who led students to use paint, palette knives, yarn, and felt to create abstract portraits of women who have made an impact in our society. This year's Artist in Residence program would not be possible without the support of Elmwood's late art teacher, Julie Ebar. In 2020, Miss Ebar won the Herb Cole Award, and it was her wish that the award money would be used to support this program.
This year marked the return of the annual spring musical, Seussical. We were thrilled to bring back this tradition and wowed by the performances, songs, costumes, and set designs. Thank you to Miss Name, our music teacher, and Miss Rosenkrantz, 6th grade teacher, for supervising a great team of cast and crew.
A huge thank you to our 5th and 6th grade Lion Cubs that, as you can see, are very proud of their school. I also want to thank many of our families for being here this evening. We really appreciate your support and for coming tonight. We want to thank our amazing staff, specifically Mrs. Thomas, Mrs. Schrettenthaler, Mr. Slonak, and Mrs. Schlee-Reed for helping to coordinate some of our celebrations this evening, and some are coming. We are truly grateful for a school community that exemplifies our beliefs, and we will and will continue to roar towards excellence. We had to roar. We want to end with a very fun fact about Elmwood this year. It is the 20th anniversary of our building, and we are very proud of this. These are some pictures of some important contributions to our school's history. Mr. Slonak, a 5th grade teacher, Miss Name, our music teacher, and Jackie Thiering, our orchestra teacher, worked to bring back an old tradition with an old Elmwood school song. Here are some of our 6th graders, yes, 6th graders, singing a verse for you tonight. You will hear them state that Elmwood is the best place in the world to be. Mr. Sams and I agree. Thank you for allowing us to continue leading Elmwood. We are very, very proud.
School of caring place, where kids have smiles upon
time.
they're not here for.
Okay, we're back from our tour. Thank you for that. That was really enjoyable and learned a lot. Then we have the student representative update, which I believe is a video.
Hello, the end of the school year is just around the corner, and students only have one more Monday left before they can go enjoy their summer breaks. This week is senior week, and seniors will be having their own days of dress, like yearbook t-shirts and dressing like a kindergartner. At the end of the week, seniors will be holding their senior dinner dance to celebrate the last 4 years of high school before they finally graduate on June 10th. This Friday, teachers are hosting a Fun Flex Friday, and during Flex, most teachers will choose a fun activity for students to participate in. These activities vary from learning to salsa dance to learning how to play chess. Also, AP tests have come to an end, and now AP students are working on final projects and really just enjoying the last few days of the school year. Some of the classes that are especially having fun are AP Statistics, who took a field trip to a Brewers game, and AP Physics, who took a trip to Six Flags. Our Ike Cares Club held a Food Truck Friday last Friday, and students look forward to this event all year because they're able to try various types of foods from multiple different food trucks during lunch. This year, it was very successful, and the students and teachers had a lot of fun eating food at these different food trucks, and Ike Cares Club is already getting students excited for Food Truck Fridays next year. At the next Culture Club meeting, members will be bringing in different food from multiple different cultures, like pierogies, rusque cape, and churros. Also, last month, a student in Culture Club taught members about Ramadan and shared some special treats. Yesterday, NHS students helped out planting and gardening at the Our Lord's Methodist Church, just down the road from Elmwood and Eisenhower. In a lot of our clubs, new members have been inducted recently. In our NHS chapter, members were inducted for next year. In addition, last Thursday, new members were inducted into the French and Spanish Honor Societies. Currently, our Ike track and tennis teams are competing at their respective regional competitions with the hopes of as many students as possible competing at the sectional competitions this coming Thursday. Girls soccer is on their way to becoming Woodland Conference champions, and in the last few weeks, the team has put together some great performances, especially with a huge win over the undefeated Muskego, and became the JS Online Team of the Week. They also played against New Berlin West last Wednesday for the annual charity match. This match was an opportunity for spectators to bring in different perishable goods that were then donated to the New Berlin Food Pantry. And finally, I would like to thank the school board for a fantastic year, and I'm excited to see what next year has to bring. Thank you.
On to district reports, which include the incident report, the enrollment report, suspension report, and donation report. Mr. Seidel, would you please read the donation report?
It'd be my pleasure. The first donation was from Poplar Creek PTO to pay for the artist in residence in the amount of $2,500. The approval date was 4/25/22. The next one was Lifetime Realty to purchase books as prizes for the International Heritage Festival, Book It Around the World, in the amount of $500. And that was approved on 4/29/22. The next one was for New Berlin West. It was for Joseph Cassio to support the Way Club at New Berlin West in the amount of $259. The approval date was February 7th, 2022. The next one was Orchard Lane, Parent Faculty Council, support Orchard Lane with a donation of Scholastic news magazines for the 2022-2023 school year in the amount of $2,022.45. And the approval date was 5/10/22. The next one was the New Berlin Soccer Club Incorporated, support girls soccer at New Berlin West in the amount of $500, and the approval date was 5/10/2022. The next one was for New Berlin West, the Safari Club International, support the Trap Club at New Berlin West in the amount of $1,000, and the approval date for that was 5/10/2022. The next one was, again, for New Berlin West. It was first, support robotics at New Berlin West in the amount of $1,000, and that was on 5/10/2022. Finally, for Orchard Lane was Jana Schoberg, Modern Woodman of America, support the social emotional learning curriculum at Orchard Lane with a donation of 42 books in the amount of $500. Total donations, and the approval date was 4/4/2022. Total donations totaling $8,281.45. Again, I'm always blown away. Thank you to all our generous donors. That ends my report.
Thank you, and thank you to our donors. We have the consent agenda next on the agenda, and it includes the notice, the approval of minutes of May 9th, financial reports, a Washington, D.C. field trip, and an American Revolution field trip. Are there any items that should be pulled out for separate consideration?
I did just want to clarify a couple things. The Washington, D.C. field trip is a trip that we take with the AP U.S. Government and Politics students, which is pretty typical. We apologize for the delay in notice of the item E, American Revolution field trip. We did not realize that if we didn't get this to the board for approval, they were not going to lock in the price for students, and they were estimating an increase of at minimum $100 for additional fuel surcharge and inflationary costs. So again, we apologize for the delay, but we thought, if it can benefit our students and their families, that we would bring that to you and recommend approval as such.
Do I have a motion for the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Helmer and a second by Mr. Kurth to approve the consent agenda as presented. Any discussion? Hearing none. I'm sorry, you have one?
No, not so much discussion, it's commentary, so we'll just finish it, go.
Okay.
Sorry.
Hearing none, all of those in favor, raise your right hand. All those opposed? Motion passes. On to the regular agenda. First on the regular agenda is the CISA 1 contract.
So what you have attached is the CISA 1 agreement for the 22-23 school year. This is an annual agreement for the various services that are attached on the sheet. Most every district works with the CISA. We happen to be in the CISA 1 area. Not to say that we haven't worked with other CISAs, but a lot of these things are for services that they support us in, or they're a flow through for small grants and such. So based on that, we recommend approval of the CISA 1 agreement as presented.
Quick question on that. Have we seen a major trend up or down on this, or is this the number of students and services we're getting in this pretty consistent with years past?
I'd say it fluctuates, and it's mainly based on the amount of students that we have or the projected allocations, which it does fluctuate slightly year after year, but Amanda and her team make determinations now. So, for example, we make sure that Amanda and her team review the potential expenses, and then we make sure that Patrick gets it in his office and makes sure that it's aligned and that we have those dollars allocated in the future budget.
Okay. I guess I was more specific, like the new pathways, the new connections, the programs where we're sending students outside for their, do we see upticks in that? Like year over year? I know it fluctuates every year, but are we seeing a trend up, kind of flat or down, or nothing
No,
really?
That's an interesting question, because some of them are through CISA, but some of them are not. They're actually alternate placements that don't necessarily go through CISA. So it really depends on the specific placement. But we are, that is something that we review annually. In fact, we're reviewing that again now to determine, how many seats, because the tough part about it is if you allocate a seat, then you got to pay for it. And that's what makes it tough. So we're actually looking at options of how we can find alternate placements within the school district outside of the regular setting.
The reason why I ask is I was contacted by someone that was concerned that we are sending too many children or students outside of the district rather than accommodating those needs inside of our district. And I just didn't know if we had any data around that of this year we had 10 outside of the district, last year we had 8. And if we see that ramp up or anything, I just wanted to kind of.
Yeah, we can certainly get that to you. And what I can share though is that those numbers fluctuate based on the IEPs and or if we have students that move in or out. So, if somebody's making, that suggestion.
Very broad suggestion.
You got to be real careful because,
absolutely.
the context is much bigger than that. But, I will say that we are addressing significant student behaviors like other school districts are. So is that a possibility? It's possible. Students are coming to us with needs that are much more substantial, with behaviors that we've not seen. That is something that, we are working on, we're working with. In fact, part of the reason why we hired a second social worker, why we're doing what we need to do to try and keep them here. But quite honestly, sometimes this isn't necessarily the best environment for those students. And so that IEP team and under the direction of Amanda and her staff need to make the best decision in the best interest of that student. And in some cases, it may not be in our regular education classrooms. Please know that, when we're getting recognized by the Herb Cole Foundation for 4 of our special education staff members because of the great work that we do, you can trust that we're doing right by those students.
All right. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Helmer and a second by Mr. Kurth to approve the CISA 1 contract. Is there any discussion? Questions are okay. You got a little off topic. We need to, yes. So all those in favor, raise your right hand. All those opposed? Motion passes. Then we have action items discussed in closed session.
I move to approve the employment services report as presented.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Kurth and a second by Mr. Helmer to approve. All those in favor, raise your right hand. All those opposed? Motion passes. Then we have our future meetings and dates. Board meetings are generally held the second and fourth Mondays, beginning at 7:00 p.m. in the Eisenhower Commons, unless noted otherwise. Upcoming meetings are June 13th and June 27th. Other important events dates: May 30th is Memorial Day. There is no school that day. And June 10th is the last day of school. There's going to be special dismissal times: 10:45 for the middle and high schools, 11:30 for Elmwood and Orchard Lane, and then we have 12:45 for Reagan and Poplar Creek. And then there's also the graduation ceremonies, which will be held in the Drexel Fieldhouse at New Berlin West. Eisenhower's graduation is Friday, June 10th at 6:30 p.m., and West graduation is Saturday, June 11th at 10:00 a.m. And then after that, we have June 12th is the New Berlin's Patriotic Citizens Day ceremony at 2:00 p.m. at the Hepner Horn Brothers VFW Post 5716. Next, we have adjournment. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Helmer, a second by Mr. Seidel. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion passes. This meeting is adjourned.